It's Sunday, October 20th. This is the eastern end of the Cape Cod Canal. Kamran and I are on the jetty on the Cape side. A couple fishermen here, about half a dozen fishermen here. Talked to one of them. Haven't seen anything yet, but there have been reports of bass, sea bass, tautog, and stripers here, right? That's what they said? Yeah.
Yeah.
And there's a seagull sitting on a rock down there.
What's your name?
Luke.
Nice to meet you, Luke.
Good to meet you, Luke.
So, have you been fishing around here at the canal your whole life, pretty much?
I recently started fishing here about 4 years ago, so I'm still fairly new to the whole canal, and it's been decently good. Okay.
Why do you like coming here? Why do you fish here? What's good about it?
Yeah, I'm after that big old striper. You see it all on the news, the newspapers. I just want that big old striper. Have yet to find them yet, though.
Have you caught striped bass this summer, like this season?
Yeah, schoolies.
Okay.
Not in the Cape though, out by Rhode Island.
Yeah. Any slot size? Any keepers?
No.
Dang.
Yeah.
Yeah, it seems like there's just so many people that fish here that, like, every now and then someone's going to get, like, an absolute cow. You know, it's just like, man, with the sheer number of people fishing here, you wonder what the odds really are, because, I don't know, it seems like they don't like to hold in here as much as just, like, pass through. It feels like it's so hit and miss, and
Yep.
word gets out fast.
Well, this morning, actually, I got here, I was, like, pretty late, and there's just tons of guys right in this jetty catching them, and they're actually tanks.
Nice.
I just couldn't hook into them.
Nice.
Oh, good to know. Yeah, might be here tomorrow then. Do you think like striper are managed pretty well though, or do you think there's some issues that could be addressed?
I recently saw online that the offspring this year was very low. I don't know how accurate that is, but I feel it's managed pretty good. They changed the new slot size, 28 to 31, right? Yeah, and I think that's reasonable. 1 fish per day. I think there could be some changes, but I think overall it's good.
Gotcha. What kind of changes would you like to see in the fishery?
Maybe shorter periods of when you can keep the fish, or change it like instead of 1 fish per day, 1 fish a week. I mean that may sound crazy, but just to see if there could be a change in growth and offspring producing.
What else do you fish for, or what else have you caught here?
Actually, recently, earlier today, I caught a tog, my first ever tog,
Oh,
just
nice.
down that way.
How big?
Over off the pier.
How big was it?
He wasn't keeper size, but he was
yeah.
about like that.
All right, cool, nice.
Yeah, very good.
Oh, yeah, that's pretty cool. Yeah, I was actually competed last weekend in the Rhode Island TOG tournament. Yeah, my team didn't win. Won a raffle, but it was cool because they had some people from Rhode Island, Department of Fish and Wildlife, or whatever the correct acronym for Rhode Island is, and they were cutting the operculums off of the fish to age them, because like most fish they age them using like their otoliths, like their ear stones. Have you heard of those?
Oh yeah, I have heard that.
Yeah, but I suppose with TOG, the otoliths may not be super great reading mechanisms. Like some other fish are like that too, like monkfish, for instance. They haven't figured out a good aging methodology for them. But for TOG, they figured out the operculums actually have a similar number of layers in them that they can use to age the fish.
Interesting.
Do
Yeah.
you usually fish for like catch and release, or do you try and like catch, keep, and eat? Depends
It
on the
depends on the
regulations, of course,
species.
the species.
For a striper, I would probably keep 1, and then that'll be it for the rest of my life, really.
The rest of your life, that's
Well,
it.
We'll see. It depends on how hungry I am.
Yeah.
But I'd be happy with just bring 1 home, and then that'll be that. But for the most part, I'm usually a catch and release.
Yeah. Have you done mostly from shore, or do you like go on charters, or have you?
Shore for right now. Once I make some bank, probably try to get a charter out there.
That's right. So they can be expensive. This is true. Yeah.
Yeah, no, especially these days with gas and everything.
Mm-hmm.
Question I have is, do you think for striper, recreational or commercial fishing has more of an impact on their population?
Oh, commercial. Easy. I've seen videos and documentaries of these guys just putting out giant nets, and they don't even like measure the fish, what they get in their nets, and they just keep them. and then they sell them. Whereas people like us, I don't think us is really doing huge damage. I think it's the commercial fishermen.
I gotcha. Yeah, it's funny because I used to think that too until I was reading the stock assessment report for striper, and it was crazy. They estimated that 50% of removals are just post-release mortality from recreational fishing, and then from there another 40% or so is recreational retention, and then the very small remaining amount was commercial, which is pretty crazy because you hear about like the gillnet videos you're describing. Those must have been from like Maryland or something, because I've been hearing like everyone has something to say about like how Maryland has a really small minimum size limit and a very large quota allocation. Since my understanding, they have had laws like grandfathered in, but it seems like from the on the coastwide perspective overall, yeah, recreational fishing has a bigger impact for that species. Are you concerned about like discard mortality at all? Like, do you ever feel like the fish you throw back might not make it, or do they normally swim away in good shape?
For the most part, the fish I do catch do swim away, but there is some times where I'm like, oh, is he gonna make it? I hope so. And I can see how the recreational fishing does a lot more damage. The hooks that we use could be changed. I know a lot of guys use a lot of barbed hooks, and those can get rent to the gills. Yeah.
Yeah, pretty interesting. Yeah, because like I'm sure you know about like the circle hook mandates and stuff, but then there's been like some concerns that like, at least even my own personal fishing, it seems like striper like to swallow circle hooks more than any other fish I've targeted circle hooks with. So some guys are pushing for like an outright ban on any kind of bait. Would you think that's a good idea, or?
I haven't really caught any stripers on bait really, but since you mentioned how they really swallow the circle hooks, I can see them maybe banning it, or I don't know. That's a tough situation right there. Earlier today, not to be a rat, but I did see a guy catch a big old sea bass, definitely keeper size, but wearing masks, and the season's over. It's closed, and he kept it.
Have you seen anything weird? Anything else like weird or strange? Maybe if it's like fishermen just with the fish in the years that you've been fishing here. Anything like peculiar you've seen?
Besides that moment, I'm sure a lot of guys out here do keep fish, probably smaller than they are or bigger than they are. But that sea bass, it was awesome. I was like, oh, let him go. Nope.
Yeah, the sea bass thing is interesting because like you were mentioning a moment ago about how it's still open in Rhode Island. There's been a lot of issues raised by anglers that they are saying that the sea bass regulations aren't restrictive enough, because historically they used to be way more common down by like New York, New Jersey, that area. Mm-hmm. And then since this region of the ocean is warming so rapidly, they've just started to move further and further up. And so now there's just like a ton of them in places like buzzards that they didn't historically really occur in numbers. And so there's like kind of managers and scientists are kind of left like not really sure what to do, both in terms of how to allocate regions with like quota, or how to decide regulations given this. And then there's also concerns too that they're starting to be destructive to like the lobster and crab population, because you said that guy caught one on a crab, right? Yeah. And it's like a similar deal. Like they love eating crabs. Every time you try fishing for tog in a spot where it's a ton of sea bass, it's like impossible. They're so aggressive. They beat the tog to the baits every time. And then there's concerns that since like lobster in southern New England have been doing really poorly too, that the sea bass might pose an actual risk as like a sort of a new predator to eat a lot of the baby lobster. So that's something people have been looking into.
Early.
All right, I'll try to be early.
All right, also.
Okay, we good? We got some light?
Yeah, we got good light, and
okay.
Yeah.
So should I introduce myself?
Yes, please.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, tell us who you are and what you do.
Okay, so my name is Joel Smith. I'm with Hopes and Dreams Advocating for the People, Inc. And I live out there in Dartmouth in Lincoln Park. And I'm out here today at the Cape Cod Canal. So, I'm doing my fishing and stuff like that. So, hopefully this school project goes well for you guys, okay?
Yeah,
all right, so give me the questions.
Right. Oh, yeah, absolutely. So, how long have you been fishing here? And do you normally fish the canal or kind of all throughout the region?
Well, today is like my third day, okay? My third day out here in the canal. But usually I do a lot of freshwater fishing out there in Dartmouth, So like, every Sunday I dedicate myself to come out here and try to hit me a striper. And unfortunately, I didn't get none yet. But I get like tautog, I get scop, and what's that? Sea bass. So that's what's going on right now. But the stripers, they're out there. I witness it. So it's like you gotta just whip that pole way out there, and probably in the center, and just glide your bait or just glide your lure. You know what I mean? And it's gonna hit. And when it does, it's an excitement. And I tell you what, the college, if there's like any type of events that you guys get into, go fishing. Trust this, it's happening. It's out here. I already seen a shark today.
Oh, nice.
Big
Oh,
one.
wow, nice.
Big one. We young man over there, me and him. I said, look, and it was the fin came up and went down. But it's awesome how nature is take part in these waters here. You would never know what's in it until we pull it out, right? And it's an awesome thing. I mean, it's just I'm excited because I get to come out here and enjoy my Sundays. And most of the time of my Monday through Friday, I'm out helping, less fortunate people that need the help, homeless people. We got our veterans, we got our women and children in shelters, and we actually, my wife runs that company. So I'm just the co-founder. She's the founder. Her name is Michelle Smith, and we do live in Dartmouth in Lincoln Park. So what she does, she works with New Bedford courts and also Fall River courts with the probation officers. So it's like we really help people that needs the help. We don't just pass people up when we know they're struggling. We stop and we let them know that we've been in their shoes. And because it's really hard and you experience loneliness, you get cold at night, you're scared, and you're hungry. And all those are serious things, and it does with like a lot with mental health, addictions, So we really help out them in getting into programs, and it's a blessing when somebody turn a leaf, you know what I mean, to really that wants it, you know what I'm saying. So you gotta really want it, and that's all I got to say.
Oh, awesome. Yeah, I know. It sounds like you're doing some absolutely amazing work for your community. And so that actually reminds me of, I do see a lot of folks in New Bedford, including some that are homeless or like from underserved communities, fishing in the New Bedford Harbor area. And in large part based off of like talking to them and hearing experiences from others that fish with them, they're doing so in large part for subsistence, like to really eat what they catch as opposed to sport. Now, New Bedford Harbor is, of course, as you may be familiar with, known for being incredibly polluted. It was a major PCB dumping site, and there have been concerns about the safety of eating fish caught in that harbor. Do you think that's an issue for folks that are fishing there regularly for food and keeping fish out of there to eat on a regular basis?
I believe it is because, whatever toxin is going into the water is polluting, and those that don't really know about that affects them, and they get very sick. And then, the illness is like, okay, we just had some fish, and they don't know about it. But our community in New Bedford needs to really open it up. You know what I mean? Open it up and let them know that there's toxic water, there's toxic waste is going into that water, and people needs to understand that our fish is not really safe to eat. We are all human. And we all need the help, and we need to let one another know that, if that water is polluted, then the city, our mayor from New Bedford needs to handle this, and take it up with the Senate and close down some places that needs to be cleaned up, So it's very bad. That's bad.
Have you been fishing in New Bedford?
Yes, I have been fishing in New Bedford. I heard a lot of stories about what's going on in there, and it's like kind of pulls me back away from it, because it's like I do for the community, and what I catch, I give, I give it away, and it's like now I'm knowing more about it. It's like I don't want to fish there, I mean, it's a nice place, people swim, but we don't know. I mean, it's like how bad is the toxin in there, So we got to know more about it so we can help each other,
Yeah, it seems like a major research focus for sure there. Also notice that a lot of the signs that they have there that are warning people not to eat the fish aren't like in a lot of languages. I think, do you remember if the one that we saw the other day had any language other than English on there?
I'm pretty sure it was only English. I can double check, but the sign's warning, and they're not in like a very intuitive position, I guess you could say, like the warnings. There was also a warning on the sidewalk when you go onto the bridge. When you try and fish from the bridge, it's spray painted on the sidewalk. There's a warning of like, don't eat the fish. I think it's in English and maybe Spanish.
Wow.
Yeah,
But-
definitely seems like something they could.
Where
Yeah.
else have you gone fishing? Did you mention Hawaii?
Oh yeah, so I'm born and raised in Hawaii, Honolulu, Hawaii. I went to school there. My mom's Hawaiian, my dad's African American, and I'm raised there. And my family is the Hawaii's, you know. So, and the Luwaikis. So I'm under Smith because my mom got married. But it's just our native Hawaiians there. It's sad today because now we're like homeless. Our own people that is from that place are actually homeless, and it affects me. It affects the islanders that live there, and we're just not understanding why our homestead, because we do have that, because we have that part of, if you're Hawaiian, you have part of that island, but somehow the government takes over our government from like the military base. They polluted our water. People got sick. Our children that, you know, when women were pregnant, they had birth defects, you know, from the children. And it's like, it's sad. You know, our government is like destroying us, totally just destroying our islands, our state. And they're not caring because it's just about the money, and they don't care. They really don't care. But that island is beautiful to, you know, to go and visit. Our warm aloha is like, you know, we'll give the shirt off our back. You know, it's like you come there, we greet you with love, you know, and it's just a blessing when people come over and they respect that. But if they don't respect it, it's like, why do you come here and just destroy us? You know what I mean? But it's like, it's everywhere. It doesn't matter. It's everywhere, you know, so.
Did you do a lot of fishing in Hawaii?
Oh yeah, I do a lot of. I go. You know, free dive with
Oh,
spear
yeah.
and stuff like that. So I go. I learned from a kid. You know, I learned and I grew up. I lay net and stuff like that, and we just go on a boat and just like, you know, how we on a jetty. You know, just fish. You know.
Did you do that with your family?
Yes, I do.
Very
And
good.
our family is big. Our Hawaii's, we are 300 plus. Yes, we are, and I'm proud of my family. You know what I mean? We're all over. We're scattered right now. We're like, you know, all in the mainland, how we call it. You know what I mean?
Yep.
They call it the states, but hey, we're all in the mainland right now. You know what I mean? So we're here, there, and everywhere. But we still know our island. So we go back home, and we always do our, you know, family reunion, and we all come together, you know, as a family.
Yeah. Is fishing like also an important part of like your family culture and
Yes.
family spirit?
So we live off the ocean and we live off the land.
Yeah.
You know, so it's like it's everywhere. You know, we live off the ocean and the land, but our land there is, our soil is so rich that everything grows beautiful.
Yeah.
It's rich and beautiful.
Do you think, speaking of Hawaii fishing, do you think that the roi there are an issue as far as like invasive species that are not even safe to eat for the people that live there?
Oh no, I don't believe. If like I said, if our government continue to pollute the water, of course it's going to be bad for us to eat anybody. You know what I mean? The fishes that, and we have variety of fish out there. I know that we don't have rules that, oh, you can only catch this one, you know, striper, you know, or like how they have it out here. We can get fish and take it home as much as we want because the fish is plentiful, you know. But I don't know why our government makes rules on, okay, this is a certain amount of fish that you can catch. If you don't have license for it, you get a fine, plus they take away all your gear, you know. Hawaii is way different, you know. You go over there, you throw a net, you get fish, you go home. Hanapa, you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, exactly. I think the issue with the Northeast is people have just been like people living in like very heavily industrial cultures have been living here for so long and just taking so much from the ocean for hundreds of years that a lot of stocks just collapsed really badly, particularly last century. Like striper nearly got wiped out at one point, like cod nearly got wiped out at one point, and haven't really come close to like fully recovering. So yeah, in here, this region, there's just such a long history of overfishing that it's kind of resulted in the stringent regulations you see now, because people are concerned about history repeating itself, so to speak. Like there have been concerns that striper have been declining, in part due to environmental conditions. There have been multiple years in a row now where there have been spawning failures, where they just haven't been catching high numbers of juveniles in like the Chesapeake Bay tributaries where they spawn. And so yeah, it's something that a lot of folks are pretty concerned about and working hard to try and prevent from happening.
I believe that, you know, when we got our big boats that go out there and they drop their nets, they picking up all kind of fish. When we're out here, we only have a pole, and when we throw our line out there, we're lucky if we catch anything, because everything that comes from this canal comes way out there. So whatever boats going out here from, you know, being parked and come out there and, you know, and they do their fishing, they're scooping. So they need to regulate them, not us, because we're just, you know, we're sports fishing, or we're trying to take home a fish. But, you know, it's like they're really hard on us instead of those people out there, which that they marketing all that fish on land. You know, whatever they catch out there, they market that on land. And they're not getting hit seriously. They're really not. You know, so are they wiping out the cod? Are they wiping out the stripers? I'm not on that boat, but they're pulling some fish out there, you know. So whatever comes through this canal, hey, we're grateful. You know, we're grateful to catch something, and some days you don't catch anything, but it's the enjoyment, you know, and that's what some of these EPs really take away from us. You know what I mean? Some people can't afford, you know, buying a license. You know what I mean? It's like, this is the land of the free. What happened? What happened? Now we're paying for what? One day we're going to have these little numbers on our back of our neck, the air that we breathe. What's going to happen? Really?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, totally feel you. But yeah, anyways, yeah, we won't waste any more of your time. We greatly appreciate you taking the time to talk to us. Yeah, we love your perspective on life and your experiences.
One last question. What's the best catch you ever got? The best, most memorable catch, fish you caught? Or was it, were you a kid, or was it when you growing up? Like, what was the best catch ever that you ever
tuna.
had? A tuna? What's tuna? Where were
okay,
you?
so what we call them over there is mahi.
Yeah.
Right? And that was the best time of my life. I was a kid, and I'm fishing off the rock, right? Yeah. And it's like, and this is on Oahu, and this is by Makaha side, where they call this Pray for Sex, right? So it's like a big beach, sandy, and then there's this big rock, right? And you go on the rock and you just kind of lay, you know, throw your line out there. And I'm like, 12, 13 years old about. And I got a pole, and I'm out there just, you know, live bait, you know, using squid, you know what I mean? And I throw them out there with the hook and sinker, and I get a hit on the line, and I pull it in. And the excitement of it is when that fish is really fighting you. Mm-hmm. When he's really pulling, he's trying to get away, and you're trying to bring him in. And when you got to know how to slack, you know, your drag, or tighten up. You know what I mean? You don't want to tighten up too much, because you might bust a line because of the rocks, the quarry. You know what I mean? So the reef out there, but you just gotta. I mean, it was just my excitement, because when I brought him in, I got to feed not just me, but I got to bring it home to my mom. You know, my mom, I love to death. And it's like, when I brought home that fish, it's like, Mama, look what I caught. You know what I mean? Yeah. And it's like, wow. You know, it's like, you caught that? I go, yeah, I caught that. And it's the beautiful thing. You know what I mean? As a kid, when I brought that fish home, mahi. Sometimes awesome. You got to go way out there. Yeah. You know what I mean? But when they come in, they come in. You know what I mean? And it's just the luck. You know what I mean? It's the luck.
Yeah, providing for your family, yourself and your family. It's just.
And I'm the only child. You know, so yeah, and it's my time. I mean, my life was pretty rough, but I tell you what, I appreciate. You know, money can't buy you nothing, love, nothing like that. You know, you got to spend it on the exchange of what you have to buy for. But I tell you what, if you show love for others, that's your judgment in heaven, and that's serious. And that's how you get through heaven, just by the love that you have for everyone, not just for yourself or certain people, not just because you see somebody walking by because you look raggedy and you don't have that, that, hey, can I help you today? That love, that's how you're going to be judged today. Not because of, oh, you hear this in the Bible. The real truth is how much love you have for others. That's real. Okay?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, well, thank you again, sir. Yeah,
Oh,
it's
yeah.
wonderful
Thank you very
talking
much.
to
Really
you.
appreciate
Yeah,
it.
and we appreciate your
Yeah, I
time.
appreciate
Yeah.
your time and your wisdom and your input. You're gonna get a good grade. I know it.
Yeah,
I bet.
thanks. Yeah.
Better. That's Dartmouth.
That's the best.
All right.
Okay.
Thank
You guys
man.
be safe on driving.